just my very short introduction as for a non-specialist, I will say that Europe has invested billions of euros, like it has been said, decades of efforts in Earth observation and GNS. Its leadership in this domain is recognized worldwide. GNS initiative is one of the EU flagship programs. But if the success of these programs is well established, the question is how to ensure the continuity of these programs when the services they provide become fully operational. As we know, it has been said also, budgets are under a lot of constraint with crisis, and research has stopped working. There will be a gap of almost 18 months until Sentinel-1. These programs are crucial to monitor the health of our planet, for our society, and they are obviously important tools for the politicians. How to make these programs sustainable in the long run, this is also essential for the industry and for the know-how there is in Europe. So let's start with the question. I don't need to introduce our keynote speaker again. I will go straight with the question with the Earth observation program represents the largest activity and budget, as Mr. Dordain said, for ESA. For the CNES, the French Space Agency, second to only to the launcher sector, is the largest budget in the French Space Agency. Will these budgets be sufficient to cover the cost in Earth observation data program for the next 5 or 10 years? Earth observation is an optional program. Will the member states confirm their interest and subscribe at this level? And if not, how will it affect the Earth observation data capacity in Europe? So I don't ask each of you, of course, to answer. We don't have time, but if you want to intervene, you just go ahead. Mr. Ashbacher.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, the question is how can GMS be made sustainable with the investments made so far, and at the time of financial crisis, I think it can be openly mentioned that this is certainly putting a lot of constraints on the funding environment. I think what we're doing in GMS is exactly what an operational program should do and is doing. Mr. Dordain mentioned before that in ESA we have a science line or science programs and operational programs. And what we do with GMS is exactly what we are doing successfully for 30 years, 40 years almost in meteorology. In meteorology, we are combining satellite data with conventional measurements, temperature, humidity, pressure, and so on, put them into models and produce a weather forecast, which is used every day by everyone. With GMS, we want to do exactly the same, but for other domains: environmental monitoring, natural disaster management, climate monitoring, and so on. And there, like in EUMETSAT, we have gone from a research domain into a publicly funded domain. And I think that is, to answer your question, that is the future, has to be the future of GMS, to go from into a fully institutionally funded program, whereby from the development side, where ESA member states have been investing heavily, most heavily at the beginning. As you know, the space component was funded to 70% by ESA member states and 30% by the European Commission. Now this should be inversed, that the European Commission, as the representative of European policy and the user at large, should invest the operational phase of GMS. And I think this has to be the future, recognizing that the data and information provided and produced through GMS is a public good, based on which business can develop, economic growth should establish itself, and should create new jobs and help also come out of the crisis. And this is for me the only way to go. We had for a long time discussions on a PPP approach also to GMS, which we concluded is not the future. So therefore, I'm fully convinced the way it is being designed right now is the right way. Of course, assuming that the next important step, public funding through the European Commission, is successful in kicking it.
Mr. Malago, yes, perhaps we need obviously also your input.
Thank you very much. I've been fortunate First, the fundamentals of GMES are still the same as they were in 1998. Europe needs to have the capabilities to monitor global resources, global environment, security for the citizens, serving its European interests. Those fundamentals remain the same, and no one questions that. The second point I would like to make, Joseph has summarized it quite well, is that in the past 10, 12 years, enormous progress has been done in Europe via the GMS process. Of course, we have not managed to transform the GMS ID, original ID, into an operational, a fully operational system yet. But in the meantime, much work has been done, and people in the room here can testify to that. Science of Earth observation, technology, satellites. ESA is matured, the Commission is matured somewhat as well in those issues. There's still much work to do, but there's been quite a tremendous progress made in Europe thanks to the GMS, the dynamic which is associated with GMS. On the other hand, I think we need to recognize now that the world has changed in the meantime. If in 1998, the only way to do global monitoring for serving the interest of Europe or any world power was via satellites, today things are changing. Things are changing with cyberspace, with crowd mapping, with crowdsourcing, with sensors everywhere. There are emerging ways to do the job that was required from GMS, which are coming up on the horizon. So my view right now is that we, of course, we need to complete the GMS objectives. We need to make sure that those satellites are to be launched, and that we have those data available to the scientists, to the citizens, to the operators, to everyone who is concerned with Earth observation and their users. But we also, this is a crucial time in my view, while we are still discussing on how to make things more operational, we have to start thinking about what is going to happen next. What is going to happen next is 2020. GMES will run to 2020, and I'm confident that we will have instruments to run objectives of GMES, not maybe in the ideal way that we dreamed about in the past few years, but something will happen. And yet, it is a very exciting time to begin to design something new. Something new of which satellites will be part, but maybe not the central part, and I'm sorry to say this in this forum, but we have to think seriously about that. Satellites will continue to be a major part, but maybe not the only one in the future, and things are changing quite rapidly. So for the young scientists and the young technicians, this is an exciting time. We have to use satellites which have been designed almost 10 years ago, and there's much more use that has to be done on that, and we need to continue to know what's going on around the world. We need to develop applications, but at the same time, we have to move ahead and look at new technologies that can do that. And I think, to me, that's part of the dynamics of GMES. GMES has been set. We have difficulties in transforming it in the last stage towards operational system. Something will happen. I'm sure something will happen, not maybe to the scale of what we have dreamed, but at the same time, it asks the question of what we are going to do next and how we are going to proceed. So that's my message in this kind of environment, is that let's not get obnubilated all the time on this discussion. GMES does not have enough money. There is no political consensus. Things are happening, not in the best way, not in the ideal world, but that's Europe also. As you know, some difficulties in Europe in making decisions. But also at this very time, some among us are very discouraged about the situation. It also offers opportunities